Welcome back to Culture Central Sports. I'm your host, Jacob Zacharia, and I'm alongside our specialists, Jezenia Marrero, Kiera Baker, and Avery Hill. Today's a special one as we're diving into the Notre Dame and Ohio State National Championship game. So let's break it down. 7 weeks ago, Ohio State head coach Ryan Day watched on as Michigan planted its flag inside of the horseshoe, and after that demoralizing loss, questions about this OSU team arose. But on Monday night, as the silver and red confetti fell, I think all of those questions were answered. Ohio State defeated the Fighting Irish 34-23 to win its program's 9th national championship game. It was an awesome game. Great performance on both sides of the ball. A lot of offense, a lot of firepower. Kiera, tell us about what you thought about the Buckeyes' performance.
Yeah, so overall great game, like you said. But what stood out to me the most about this Ohio Buckeyes team was their consistency. And they're willing to sustain this Notre Dame comeback in the second half. And as you can see, Will Howard, great quarterback for this team. He completed the first 13 passes to set a new championship game record, and his stats was he finished 17 of 21 passing yards for 231 yards and 2 touchdowns. Exceptional play from him, especially in the first half, going in right out of the gate and just giving Ohio that push, especially when they were up 3 touchdowns to Notre Dame going into halftime. And also just touching on the wide receivers, Jeremiah Smith, Ime Udoka, he's a senior. He brings that veteran leadership for this team, for this Ohio State team. So just with their production, they came in and gave really great games. And also their running back, Quishon Judkins, he ran for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns on 11 carries. Like, so much to say about that boy, but he had a great game. And overall, it was just their consistency because Notre Dame, they came back and they put up a fight in that second half, but Ohio was able to sustain their run and eventually close out the game.
Yeah, they got superstars all over that ball. I thought it was pretty impressive. Ohio State scored touchdowns on its first 4 possessions, added a field goal on its 5th. Jezenia, who's the biggest X factor in the national championship?
I would say Ohio State's running back, Judkins. As you mentioned earlier, he had 3 out of the 4 touchdowns this entire game. Just a really excellent game, and he kept that momentum all game long. And back to a little bit more about Ohio State, for them to lose to Michigan, lose to Oregon in their regular season game, and still win the national championship game shows you what college football is going to be in these next couple of years with this new playoff bracket. And I think it shows, too, that people did say, should Ryan Day be fired for losing to Michigan? If he technically, that was considered previously, now he proved this point that he doesn't deserve that, especially winning this game. It's huge for the Big Ten. Even him playing Oregon again in the postseason and defeating them very, very well. That was a great game to watch. So I would say that the biggest X factor of this game was Judkins, if I'm just talking about a player specifically.
Yeah,
Can I
Judkins
just
is
build
a
on
beast.
that really quick?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Ohio State faced a lot of criticism after losing to Michigan. I mean, that was their 4th straight loss against them in that matchup. So the fact that they came back, like you said, and won this national championship title speaks volume for Ryan Day and this offensive team, this defensive team, all in all. And they'll come back next year better than ever.
I thought the trenches in that game were really impressive for Ohio State. I thought those holes for Judkins were gigantic.
Yeah.
I
mean, you look like both sides, both offensive lines came to play. I mean, you look at Notre Dame, that first drive, just, 12 or 18 plays, 75 yards. It was probably like
Incredible.
17 or 18 runs. Like, both sides came to play, but I think Ohio State overall, I think they just showed why they were the favorites in the first place. Obviously, they paid an outlandish amount of money. I wouldn't consider it outlandish. You won a national championship to get this team, obviously getting Jeremiah Smith, obviously getting Judkins from Ole Miss, obviously, keeping your guys, Travion Henderson, bringing in Will Howard. Like, they did an amazing job of building that team, but I think that Michigan game was that wake-up call, and, I mean, it showed when they played Oregon. That was nasty. Just nasty.
Ohio State's been dominating since that Michigan game, but now moving to the other side of the national championship, Notre Dame had a great season, but they fell just short. Notre Dame coach Marcus Freeman will have a few tough questions to answer as he failed a fake punt in the 3rd quarter, which led to Ohio State taking a 31-7 lead, as well as sending Mitch Jeter in for a short field goal attempt, which clanked off the left upright. So, Avery, what do you think Notre Dame could have done differently to take advantage of different points in this game, and do you agree with those decisions that Freeman made?
Mostly I want to touch on the Mitch Jeter field goal. I think that was the one that I was like, because me personally, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't think he'll do it because in this day and age, all the analytics and stuff, you need to go for it. But I was like, I might go for the field goal. But when I saw the clock ticking down 5-4, you don't want a rushed field goal from the right hash to So obviously make the game a 13-point game when you could
still a
just win for
two-possession
it.
game, yeah.
At that point, call timeout at the very least. Even if you want to kick it, call timeout. But I think he coached a really good game. I think the biggest problem came, and that's really Al Golden, defensive coordinator. But the biggest problem came when that 3rd and 11, that last play. Like, why are we in cover 0 against? Like, they run a lot of cover 1. We get it. But cover 0, you're not getting any pressure anyway. It wasn't going to happen. Like, and you have Jeremiah Smith, and you're like 10 yards off the ball from like the next like Jamar Chase, the next Justin Jefferson.
Absolutely.
Like, how do you do that?
Anybody
that has to play the Bengals, because Al Golden's now with the Bengals, have fun. If you got some receivers, have fun, because risk it and no biscuit.
Yeah, going off your
what he
point,
does.
I thought another thing that I was really disappointed about for Notre Dame was Jeremiah Love. They just couldn't get him going. He had 4 total yards in that game. I thought that was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I think with him, like, real quick, like, he's just been hurt. Like, he got hurt, in November or whatever, got hurt again. Like, he's been battling. But I thought Jadarian Price, their backup, I thought he would have showed up. But it was really literally just Riley Leonard. And he came off ACL last year. So it's been hard for them injury-wise. I think they put up a really good fight for, what they had to work with.
Yeah, I thought Leonard's a dog. It was really symbolic seeing him throw up everywhere after that first drive. Putting his team on the back, giving his all in the national championship. I think Jaden Greathouse, unbelievable ball player. Unbelievable ball player. He's on the map
I knew
now.
he was going to make a play. I called him. Like, all that running, you got to. Set up the play action, anything, he's getting open. I think, I don't know if he's draft eligible for another 2 years, but I think somebody's going to get him. And they're going to love Jaden Greathouse. I would love to see how his career
Think you
goes.
can see him in OSU next year?
Oh, transferring?
Yeah.
They got the money, so they could.
That's for
but
sure.
if I'm Marcus Freeman, I'm doing everything I can to keep that. Like, we need you here. Build some guys around them. They're going to run the ball. That's their scheme. They just literally lost everything. They lost their whole offensive line, running back. Like, it's hard. And the fact that they were still, one possession away, that's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
I would say, going back to what Avery mentioned, this Notre Dame's a team that throughout this entire season, they were usually going for it on 4th down. For them not to go for it, especially in such a big game, was very surprising. Also, like you said, that last play with Jeremiah Smith, this is also a team that consistently plays man-on-man coverage. With that being said, Ohio State has too much talent to be playing man-on-man coverage against them. They should have been in zone throughout the entire game, especially when it came down to the finish line. So that was very surprising, and I'm sure Marcus Freeman got a lot of backlash for that. But I'm also really excited to see is if Marcus Freeman stays with Notre Dame, because he has been getting these other head coaching opportunities in the NFL. So to see if he stays or goes, and if he does stay, I also do think that this is another team that will make it just as far next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think he stays. I think, obviously, given now, if he would have left, it would have been the day after, whatever, and the Bears already kind of filled up with Ben Johnson and stuff. So I think for now he stays. I think with college, the money is a big aspect of part of it. So, I mean, I really hope Marcus Freeman is a long-time college coach, but I could see him making the jump one day.
Absolutely. He really thrives in that area. And the fact that it's another year of the Big Ten winning this championship game, maybe the 3rd year will be Penn State, but we'll see. We have Michigan, Ohio State. We just have one more.
To touch up on that, Ohio State and Michigan, they both had the same recipe success, bringing back all your players from that last year. Penn State's doing it. A lot of their guys are coming back. They're missing probably their top 2 guys, but the rest of the team's coming back. Maybe a Nittany Lion national championship. I don't know about that, but I want to ask you guys this question because this is a big one. How did you feel about the 12-team playoff format? Do you like it? Do you like the 4-team playoff better? What are we thinking?
I mean, I think that 12-team playoff is incredible. I think the timing of it we can talk about. I mean, as you look at it, there's a lot of, good matchups and also just matchups we never thought we'd see. Like Penn State, Notre Dame, they hadn't played since they were rivals when Penn State was, independent and stuff like that. Like, well, obviously they played in 2007, but, they haven't played much since then, and it was like just tradition. Texas and Ohio State, Texas, Ohio State, even that Arizona State game, like getting to see Scatterbo do what he does on the national level. Like, I think even Genty, just even him having the chance to do that, I think the 12-team playoff is amazing. But again, we can talk about the schedule. We'll see. It's a mess right now.
As you mentioned schedule, it's like, it's kind of great because teams that don't even have a great strength of schedule are able to make it this far. You know what I mean? So it's like that is a big factor. But like you said, the timing, it's an extremely long season for these guys. It is preparing them for the league if that's what their next step is. But as fans, it can become very lengthy. I mean, I personally love it, but a lot of people are talking about NFL playoffs, just like going against those games.
Yeah, but to touch on an extremely long season, that's something that these guys are going to have to get used to once they make it to the professional level too. They're playing long seasons, they're playing long games going into the playoffs. So personally, I do love the 12-game playoff matchup, like you said, especially with teams with not that great of a strength of schedule, being able to come in and show off their talents and sometimes may even perhaps upsetting these other teams that are in the big power conferences. But like I said, Ashton Genty, love him. He's going to be a great addition to the NFL.
Please not a Cowboy. Please not a Cowboy.
And it was just great
Please.
to see him play for Boise State and actually make it far and be a number 1 seed.
Yeah, I think it's super cool to see SEC and Big Ten clash. You got a lot of cool matchups. Obviously, no upsets in the first year. Obviously, you got a lot of blowouts.
Yeah,
but at some point, it's going to change. It's year one.
playoffs.
It's year one.
Yeah.
Some point,
Year
it's going to
one.
turn up. Some team's going to go in a Cinderella run, just like in March Madness. It always happens. But as always, that's all the time we have for this edition of Culture Central Sports. As always, please don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this as we continue discussing the most relevant topics in sports today.